Korea's exports of dried seaweed, or gim, hit a record high this year, surpassing $1 billion for the first time, driven by rising demand in overseas markets such as the U.S. and Japan, according to the Oceans Ministry.
우리나라 김에 대한 미국과 일본 등의 해외 시장 수요가 늘면서 올해 김 수출액이 사상 처음으로 10억 달러를 넘어섰다고 해양수산부가 발표했습니다. Well, we kind of dressed like Kim this morning. Unintentionally, but
yes.
a little bit.
We are the Black Blazer sisters today.
Yes, we are. So Kim is popular overseas as well.
Yes, of course. You can tell if you go into some of the touristy areas of Korea, you see a lot of travelers carrying bagfuls and bagfuls of this gim, this dried seaweed, and sales are reflecting that. They have reached an all-time high this year, surpassing $1 billion for the first time. And outbound shipments of dried seaweed, they are up, that's 13.2% from the same period a year earlier, showing this food item's popularity.
Yeah. Well, the popularity can be described as rising demand. 정말 인기가 많은 김인데요. 수요가 늘었다. 이렇게도 표현할 수 있겠죠. 영어로는 the demand has gone up or there's rising demand.
Right. So the Korean Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries says that there are several reasons for why the seaweed is rising in popularity. The overall improved quality of gim that is sold here, and also rising demand in particularly North America. The U.S. is number one as far as who buys Korea's gim, as well as Japan is right up there, number two, and also tourists from China like to buy up the gim when they're here traveling.
네, 그렇습니다. 정말 다양한 나라의 많은 그런 소비자들이요. 이렇게 김을 사랑하고 있습니다. 그래서 rising demand 얘기를 했는데 또 반대로 우리 공급 얘기를 한다면은 supply라는 단어 기억하시면 되겠죠? Now, what about such as? Let's look at that expression.
Such as. You can use such as when you would use just the words for example, in casual speech. So when you lay out a point, you say something, and then you want to give examples of it.
Yeah.
Right? So after such as, you can say one, two, or any number of things that show what you are saying.
네, 그렇죠. 뭐 예를 들어서라는 의미로 such as, for example 다 대체 가능합니다. 다시 읽어볼게요. Korea's exports of dried seaweed, or gim, hit a record high this year, surpassing $1 billion for the first time, driven by rising demand in overseas markets, such as the US and Japan, according to the Oceans Ministry. Let's move on to the next headline.
The English translation of 2024 Nobel Literature laureate Han Gang's latest nonfiction book, Light and Thread, will be published early next year, according to British-American publisher Penguin Random House.
2024년 노벨문학상 수상 작가 한강의 새로운 책이자 논픽션 글 모음집인 빛과 실의 영문본이 내년 초 출간될 예정이라고 Penguin Random House 출판사가 밝혔습니다. Tell us more.
This is big news in the world of literature. After her 2024 win of the Nobel Literature Prize, Han Gang is back now with her first work since her big accomplishment. This one, like I said, is called Light and Thread. The Korean original version was already released earlier this year in April, and then the English translation of it will now be released in 2026. So lots of readers, including myself, around the world are waiting for this.
Me too. Let's have a look at the word laureate. When we hear Nobel Prize, we often hear laureate.
Right. Laureate. Shall we spell that one since it's not as commonly used in everyday speech? It's Laureate. A laureate is someone that's a winner of something. It's somebody that is a recipient of a prize or somebody that has accomplished something, especially in the arts and sciences.
Right,
That's why we say a Nobel laureate is the winner of that prize.
맞아요. laureate가 수상자라는 뜻이 있는데 laurel이라는 게 월계관이에요. 그래서 laurel을 받은 사람, laureate. 여기서 어원이 오는 것이고 그 다음에 이제 노벨상은 특히 이 단어로 수상자를 거의 항상 표현합니다.
Almost always.
뭐 winner라고 해도 되지만 거의 항상 Nobel 무슨 prize laureate 이렇게 표현을 하죠. So of course 한강 was the 2024 Nobel Literature Prize laureate, and you could just take out the prize there, and that's fine.
Absolutely. So the laurel, the green and black leaves that we see that, people used to wear on their heads in ancient Greece. That's where the expression comes from. And especially for these very, honorable prizes, we would call the winner a laureate.
Exactly. Well, this new book, Light and Thread, is a non-fiction. So what's that?
Yes, it's nonfiction, so it's based in truth. The opposite word being, of course, fiction, which is made up. It's not true. It's from somebody's imagination. But if a work, a book, a movie, a documentary is nonfiction, it means it is based in truth.
그렇죠. 픽션이 아닌 것. 우리도 외래어로 그대로 논픽션 이렇게 말하기도 하지만, 네, 이게 어떤 의미인지 이 기회에 같이 보면 좋을 것 같아요. 픽션이라는 것이 소설이라든지 이런 것이죠. 영화로 치자면은 만들어진 이야기, 사실을 기반으로 한 게 아니라. 근데 그게 아닌 거니까 사실인 거예요. 그렇죠? 그러니까 산문 문학이 될 수도 있겠고 영화 같은 경우는 non-fiction이면은 이제 실화를 바탕으로 한 영화 그런 것들을 말하겠죠.
Right. This book is actually a collection of works. So it's not just one story. It's not just one kind of, essay or, how we would imagine for a normal novel. But Light and Thread is a collection of 12 different pieces. In there is also her speech from when she won the Nobel Prize.
Oh, wow.
So that's one of the works in there. There's also, I thought this was kind of special, but photographs that Han Gang took. So that she actually took herself. So it's sort of a collection of different things from Han Gang.
Wow. I can't wait to get my hands on this book.
Have you been able to read The Vegetarian?
I have.
Okay.
Have you?
No, I'm not. I haven't rather. It's on my list.
Okay.
So now I'm going to be
Be prepared if
Too
you're going to read
behind.
that because it's not an easy book to sort of absorb unless you, I don't know. Do you
No.
know anything about it?
just the basics,
Okay,
just what's
okay.
been covered in the press.
Yeah.
But did you read the Korean original or the translated version?
I think I read both.
Oh, both?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you got both versions.
Yes.
I'll read the translated version, which I've heard is excellent.
It's a little bit, I mean, it is true to the original, the English translation, but I felt like it was just, it felt a little bit different.
A little bit different.
But that's what happens with
Of
translations.
course,
Yeah.
that's how translations
Yeah.
work. It's not a perfect one-to-one, word-for-word thing, but you get the essence
Yeah.
of what the author was saying.
Well, be prepared to go on an emotional roller coaster with that book.
Okay.
All right. 자, 다시 한번 제가 헤드라인 읽어보겠습니다. The English translation of 2024 Nobel Literature laureate Han Gang's latest non-fiction book, Light and Thread, will be published early next year, according to British-American publisher Penguin Random House.
Dozens of Roman-era gold coins were stolen from a Swiss museum after two robbers overpowered a security guard and broke into a secured display case where the coins were being exhibited.
스위스의 한 박물관에서 2인조 강도가 경비 직원을 제압하고 보안 진열장을 부순 뒤 그 안에 전시 중이던 고대 로마 시대 금화 수십 개를 훔쳐 달아나는 사건이 발생했습니다. Oh no. I mean, it hasn't been that long since the Louvre robbery happened. And now what's going on in Switzerland?
The Louvre case was just a month ago. That was in October. And here we have another story of perhaps lax security at European museums. This is something that happened in the city of Lausanne in Switzerland.
Yep.
The Roman Museum there in that city was about to close for the day. It was the end of the day. There were some visitors left. Two men had purchased tickets earlier. And they were kind of waiting.
Oh.
They were kind of waiting for all the visitors to leave. Once all the visitors were gone, they took over. They overpowered the poor security guard that was in there. He was by himself. The security was a 64-year-old man.
Oh, no.
The two robbers attacked the security guard and then stole these Roman coins.
They need, I mean, with all due respect to elderly people, but they need a younger, bigger, taller security guard.
Well, even if it had been a younger, taller, bigger security guard, if you have two men on you
I
overpowering
guess,
you,
yeah.
you might be taken. In any case, thankfully, the 64-year-old security guard was fine and unharmed. So he was okay. He was not injured or harmed. But the two robbers were able to get away with these Roman era gold coins.
Oh my goodness. So we still don't know who they are, where they are.
Yes, last I checked, the perpetrators were still at large. So they are still, not caught.
That's a great expression. To be at large.
At
It
large.
doesn't mean they are large. It means we don't know where they are.
Right. So we use this when we talk about robbers
Yeah.
or kidnappers or somebody who has done something bad. If you watch a news report on it, you might hear the perpetrators or the robbers are still at large. That means the police are still looking for them.
그래요. 아직 붙잡히지 않았다라는 표현인데요. 이거 아주 유용한 표현이니까 be at large. 이 large 사이즈랑 아무 상관이 없는 단어예요. 여기서는. 근데 아직 붙잡히지 않았군요. 아이고. 저 두 명의 강도가 그 박물관 표를 가지고 있다가
Yes.
원래 예약제인가 봐요. 아무나 들어갈 수
I think they had just purchased the tickets,
그래요?
but they were waiting for the other museum visitors to leave.
Got
and then
it, got
once the museum was about to close, they overpowered the security guard. Museum officials did say that the coins don't necessarily have money value. I mean,
Okay.
they do.
Yeah,
they do and they could, but the point is that they're more valuable archaeologically.
Yeah, exactly. 그러니까 박물관 문 닫기 일보 직전까지 기다리다가 박물관 직원이 딱 한 명인 것까지도 파악을 한 것 같아요, 강도가. 64세의 한 보안 직원. 한 명만 있었답니다. 전체 박물관에서 마지막에 이제 문 닫기 직전에. 그래서 강도 둘이 들어가서 일단은 경비 직원을 제압하고
Yes.
그 다음에는 이제 이 로마 시대라 그랬나요?
Yes.
그리스 시대? 로마 시대.
Roman era.
로마 시대의 금화를 훔치고 달아났어요. Let's have a look at dozens of coins or dozens of something.
Dozens, so DOZEN, a dozen of something, is 12 of something.
Yeah.
So eggs that we eat are sold in units of dozens. That means there's 12 of them.
Right.
But when we say it in an expression, dozens of, so plural usually, dozens of something, dozens of people, we're just saying there's lots of that thing.
Yeah, exactly. 그냥 굉장히 많았다라는 거를 표현하는 거라고 보시면 되겠고요. 좀 loosely translating을 하면은 그냥 수십 개의 이렇게 해도 돼요. 근데 아주 엄격하게 해석을 하면은 12개씩 떨어지는 12배수의 뭐뭐뭐. 그렇게 해석할 필요 없겠죠. dozen은 12, 12개지만 네, 그냥 수십 개, 많은 금화가 지금 도난당했습니다. What about to overpower someone?
We've said this many times now in this story.
Yeah.
To overpower someone or something means that you are stronger than that other thing. So you take over it with your force and your strength.
제압하다, to overpower someone. One word.
Also, this is important. It's not just for physical strength,
Yeah,
like your
yeah.
muscles, like somebody beating somebody physically, but it can also be a smell, like if a diffuser odor is too strong or
yeah.
somebody's perfume is too strong, you might say, oh my goodness, that's too overpowering. So a smell or somebody's personality,
Okay.
somebody's laughter or
Sure,
voice,
sure.
anything that's too strong.
특히 향 얘기를 하셨는데 그럴 때는 어떻게 해석을 하면 좋으냐면 향이 너무 강해. 이거를 It smells too strong. 이렇게 말해도 되지만 굉장히 직접적인 표현이죠. 그 대신에 this smell is very overpowering. 이렇게 표현을 해도 돼요. 나를 압도하는 것 같은 그런 향이죠.
Right.
자, 다시 읽어보겠습니다. Dozens of Roman-era gold coins were stolen from a Swiss museum after two robbers overpowered a security guard and broke into a secured display case where the coins were being exhibited. Here's headline number 4.
A copy of the first ever issue of Superman, discovered by three brothers while clearing out their late mother's attic in California last year, has become the most expensive comic ever sold, fetching over $9 million at auction.
슈퍼맨 만화책 초판본 한 부가 경매에서 900만 달러가 넘는 금액을 벌어들이며 역대 만화책 최고가 경매 기록을 세웠습니다. 이 초판본은 미국 캘리포니아에 살던 세 형제가 작년에 돌아가신 어머니의 다락방 유품을 정리하다 발견한 것으로 알려졌습니다. Wow, what a discovery.
What a discovery for sure. This is a story that was quite touching because aside from the money that this comic was able to fetch at auction, the story is of a mother who had always told her sons, the three boys,
Yeah.
I have some valuable comics.
Oh, she told them that.
In storage. And, she had bought them way back during, I think, World War II. So they were
Right.
very, very old. And, then she decided I'll, pass them down to my sons one day.
Yeah.
But, they, lived life and they got busy and the boys were in school. They kind of forgot about it. And then last year when the mother passed away, the three brothers, now in their 50s and 60s, had to clear out their mother's house in
Yeah.
California.
Yeah.
And that's when they discovered this whole box of valuable things and decided to sell them at auction.
Yeah.
And boy, what a good idea that was.
Oh my goodness. So this first issue of Superman is from 1939 and what a rare find. I mean, this is just incredible. 1939년 슈퍼맨 만화책의 초판본입니다. 이게 이제 돌아가신 어머니의 유품 속에서 발견이 된 건데요. 지금 이제 50대, 60대가 된 아들 셋이 유품 정리를 하다가 이걸 발견해서 경매에 붙이게 됐고 꽤 큰 금액에 팔렸습니다.
$9 million US dollars. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
Superman #1. This is the first time that Clark Kent he had appeared in his own dedicated comic. So this is a big deal. And what was very special about this comic book was that not only is it old, but even though it was just in somebody's dusty attic and it wasn't protected in like a glass case or a special folder, it was just in a box with old newspapers.
Okay.
But it was almost perfectly preserved.
I think it was the newspapers
Maybe
that
it was the
helped to absorb
newspapers.
the humidity.
Maybe. So, so when the brothers were in the attic looking through all these old things, they found this almost perfectly preserved, mint condition comic. So when they took it to auction, even experienced auction watchers, even the officials said, wow, this is in perfect condition.
Yeah.
And that's why they were able to get $9 million.
와,
for
정말 거의 새 상품 수준의 너무나 좋은 상태, 컨디션이었다고 하는데요. In mint condition이라고 표현하는 게 바로 그런 새 것 같은 그런 상태였다는 뜻이죠. 아마도 이제 상자 안에 신문지와 같이 보관을 한 게 도움이 되지 않았을까 싶어요. 왜냐면 신문지가 습기를 잘 빨아들이니까. 근데 그 외에 뭐 특별한 상자에 넣거나 뭐 이렇게 뭐 비닐 뭐 포장을 하거나 이런 거 전혀 없었는데도 상태가 이렇게 좋았어요. 1939년 만화책이. Wow. All right, so the sons, what did they do? They cleared out their mother's home.
Right. So when I was telling the story, I used two expressions back to back. I said clean out or clear out. Clear out means you're just whoosh, just, cleaning something out fully.
맞아요. clear out, clean out. 전부 다 치운다, 청소한다 이런 느낌으로 보실 수 있어요. 그래서 그냥 clean 하고 clear 하는 것과의 뉘앙스 차이는 싹 다 치워서 정리를 한다 요 느낌입니다.
Right. So when somebody passes away, you have to go through all of their possessions. You can't just clean a certain closet or a certain desk. You have to clear out the whole area.
Yeah.
That's what the brothers did. So it means to clean something completely.
That's right. And the mother, she's the son's late mother.
Right. Late sounds just like the word that you know, but it doesn't mean that she's tardy or not on time. It means that she has passed away. It means that she is deceased. And so when you put it in front of a noun or a name, so the late mother, the late artist, the late movie director, that means that this person is no longer with us.
And you have to have either an article or a possessive in front of late. So the late or my late, not just late.
No. You have to have the article. So the late CEO. It can also be used in front of somebody's name. So the late and then usually like a famous person's name.
Exactly. 그러니까 이제 고인이 된 이런 뜻이에요. The late가 가장 일반적인 이제 쓰는 방법이고요. 반드시 이 정관사를 쓰셔야 됩니다. A late 아니고요. The late. 아니면은 이제 소유격으로 my late, their late, your late 이렇게 할 수도 있어요. 자, 그러면 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. A copy of the first ever issue of Superman, discovered by three brothers while clearing out their late mother's attic in California last year, has become the most expensive comic ever sold, fetching over $9 million at auction. And here's our final headline.
Italy's agriculture minister has called for an immediate investigation into a Belgian food producer's pasta sauce labeled as carbonara, which allegedly contains ingredients not typical of the traditional dish.
벨기에 한 식품업체가 생산한 까르보나라 소스가 이탈리아 정통조리법과 부분적으로 다른 재료를 쓴 것으로 알려지면서 이탈리아 농업부 장관이 즉각 조사에 착수할 것을 요구했습니다. So Italians are very friendly and nice, but when it comes to their food, they're very picky. They don't like people messing with their food.
Let's say they're very proud.
They're very proud.
Of their food, as
Yep.
they should be. Food is a big part of any culture, and Italians, we know, take their food seriously.
They do.
Yes. So the problem started over, first of all, the dish carbonara, which is a combination of Italian pasta, pork, and cheese mixed with egg yolks. And it has to be made a very specific way for it to be the traditional dish. The problem began when a Belgian company making this, pasta sauce was selling this sauce labeled carbonara. And when people looked at the ingredients, they were not the traditional ingredients that need to be in carbonara.
Okay.
They had used some easy substitutes. So when the Italian agriculture minister got involved, this is a very high level, person that actually is involved now. He said, this is not okay. This is not how Italians make carbonara. The problem also was that this jar of carbonara sauce was being sold not just at a random store, but at the European Parliament.
Oh, that's why the government got involved then, I guess.
Right. And this is an institution that should protect traditional foods from different nations. So anyways, this is what caused the outrage.
그래요. 원래는 정통 이탈리안 카보나라 안에는 돼지고기 볼살, pork jowl, is it?
Pork jowl, yes.
이게 들어가야 된대요.
So in Italian, guanciale.
Oh, is that what it is? 아하. 그런데 자, 벨기에에서 만든 이 까르보나라 소스 안에는 돼지고기 볼살이 아니라 판체타라고
Yes.
하는 이거는 뭐 햄 같은 건가요?
So this is closer to, I'm not a food expert, but this is closer to what we consider like bacon. It's more from the belly area, but it should be from guanciale, which is more in the pork jowl, the cheek area. This is very important. So even like in Korean soups, what part of the animal is in the food is very important.
It is, yeah.
So when Italians found out that a different ingredient had been used, they said no, this is not carbonara.
Exactly. I don't know if you've ever watched the brothers. I think the two Italian guys on the social media thing tube, and they're Italian, so
Okay.
they look at other people cooking, watch other people's videos, and then they either approve or disapprove of those dishes. They're very short videos,
Okay.
and they're just really funny.
Okay.
And if they do approve, they'll say approved. And
I love it.
if they don't, like not approved.
You have to do the
You have
fingers
to do
too.
not approved. This is the case in the, in this story as well. 지금도 아마 이탈리아 사람들이 굉장히 화가 났을 것 같다는 생각이 좀 드네요.
Yes.
어떻게 다른 고기를 쓸 수가 있어?
I think so. I mean, imagine like, all the history and tradition behind Korean dishes. I think that Koreans love. I think if, you saw that an ingredient was, being used incorrectly or
Yeah.
an easy substitute was being used, let's say, in some kind of traditional jjigae, you might be a little bit upset. I should
맞아요.
also say one extra note of background here. This is also happening with Italy trying to have its cuisine, its food recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage of
wow.
humanity. So Italy is trying to get its food recognized as an intangible cultural heritage. So, to have these fake Italian foods out there
Yeah.
doesn't help them.
Well, that decision is expected next month. So in about a month's time, we'll find out whether or not Italian dishes are intangible cultural assets. 유네스코에 무형문화재로 등재를 하려고 하고 있어요. 이탈리아의 식품을 그만큼 굉장히 지금 이탈리아 음식에 대한 자부심이 원래 있는 데다가 또 굉장히 예민한 시기인 것 같습니다.
It's a very sensitive issue.
It is. 그 기사 속에 보니까 재밌는 표현이 하나 있었는데 벨기에 이 식품 회사가 저지른 이 일을 가지고 뭐라고 표현했냐면 대역죄를 저질렀다. It's a cardinal sin.
Oh, yes.
그래서
Yes.
그만큼 그냥 뭐 재료를 잘못 썼다 이 정도가 아니라요. 마치 정말 어떤 종교적인 큰 죄를 저지른 것처럼 그렇게 표현을 한 게 재밌었어요.
Right, that was the expression that I think the agriculture minister used or one of the officials used to
맞아,
say,
맞아.
this is a crime.
This is a cardinal sin.
This is a crime. This should not happen. Do not do this to our Italian food. It's a cardinal sin. It is not approved.
맞습니다. 자, 예문 볼게요. Be labeled as something.
When something is labeled as something, that is what it is known as. That is what it is marked as.
Yep.
So in this case, this food was labeled as carbonara, but the Italians are saying it is not carbonara.
그래요. 표시가 된 것. 이렇게 표시가 됐다. Labeled as something. And what is something that's not typical of it?
If something is not typical of something, it doesn't represent it. It is not telling of it. It is not something that we normally associate with that.
Right. 여기서 말하는 not typical이라는 것은 전형적이지 않다라는 뜻이 되겠죠.
Right. So if somebody is always on time, to work, but one day is 15 minutes late, that is not typical
Yeah.
of them. You might start to worry.
There was a famous episode in Friends where Brad Pitt appeared, and this was when he was still married to Jennifer Aniston, and he played someone who hated Rachel in the series. I'm sure you remember.
Yes.
And she says something, and he goes, typical, which
Right.
means 늘 그래, 맨날 저래,
Right.
이런 뜻이죠.
To sort of show his displeasure.
Yes. 자, 그래서 typically 전형적이다라는 사전적인 의미가 있지만 일상 대화 속에서는 맨날 저래 이런 뜻이에요.
So typical.
Exactly. 자, 그럼 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. Italy's agriculture minister has called for an immediate investigation into a Belgian food producer's pasta sauce labeled as carbonara, which allegedly contains ingredients not typical of the traditional dish.
The Group of 20 has confirmed that Korea will assume the rotating presidency of the annual multilateral summit in 2028, marking its second time leading a G20 gathering since hosting the fifth summit in November 2010.
우리나라가 2028년 G20 정상회의 개최국으로 공식 확정됐습니다. 한국이 G20 의장직을 맡는 것은 지난 2010년 11월에 있었던 5차 회의 이후 이번이 두 번째입니다. Tell us more.
Well, it feels like the G20 has been around forever, but this is in fact the 20th anniversary of the G20 summit.
Is that right?
Yes. So there have been a few more than 20 meetings. Back at the beginning in 2008 when it started, the inaugural meeting was in Washington. They convened twice a year and then started annually from 2011. And Korea hosted back in 2010, and it's going to be back again in 2028.
Yeah.
We have the US next year, then we have the UK in 2027, and then the Republic of Korea in 2028. So that's going to be the 20th anniversary on that year.
What a great year to be the host of G20.
It's excellent. Well, we'll see what happens politically around the world.
Yeah, just in terms of, the symbolic value.
Absolutely. I think Korea is playing a bigger and bigger political role when it comes to international diplomacy.
Sure.
And it's great to see Korea taking a lead in these kind of things.
Yeah, it is. Well, it says here that Korea will be assuming the presidency. We know what the presidency is.
Yes.
의장직인데요. To assume the 의장직?
They're not going to be guessing what it is. They're not going to be theorizing what it is because we
Yeah.
do use that word assume. To assume something means you think you know what something is. But here, to assume a position.
Yeah.
So it could be a presidency, it could be a seat at a board, it could be any kind of position, means you're taking it on. It means you're taking that role, whatever it may be.
Right. So when you talk about assuming a position, 그러면은 어떤 역할을 맡다.
네.
It's a very official expression.
Exactly, yeah. We're not
Yeah.
going to use this for everyday life, but you might use it in your work if you're getting a new job, if you're getting a promotion,
Yeah.
or we'll use it when talking about government positions or international diplomatic positions. You'll see it a lot in the news.
Yeah. But in everyday speech, when we say assume, it's a very different meaning.
Yes.
So I assume you've seen a crow or two in your life before.
Of course, I've seen many crows. And that assumption,
Yeah.
you assuming, is you making an educated guess. You
Yeah.
may not know exactly, but you have a good idea of what the answer will be, and so you assume something.
가장 흔하게 쓰이는 이 assume이라는 동사는요, 짐작한다라는 뜻이 있어요. 그래서 이럴 것이라고 생각해, 까마귀 본 적 있겠지? 이렇게 짐작하는 거거든요.
네.
그런데 지금 말하는 어떤 역할을 맡다 할 때도 똑같은 assume이라는 동사를 쓰나 이게 동음 이어라는 거 기억하시면 되겠습니다. What about a multilateral summit?
Yes, well, a summit is a meeting of some kind, an official gathering of groups or people. And
Yeah.
in this case, it's countries. So a multilateral summit is when we have multiple countries meeting together.
Right.
You can have a unilateral summit or a unilateral meeting. Will just be
Can you?
one country. Just
Yeah.
within
Bilateral.
itself. Bilateral
Yeah.
is 2, trilateral is 3. Just
like-
wanted to say that we can use unilateral.
Unilateral summit?
I made a unilateral decision to give that example. That was my choice and my choice alone.
자, unilateral 그러면은 한 명만 참여 아니면
네.
한 국가만 참여를 한다라는 뜻이 되겠죠. 그리고 이제 bilateral 그러면은 두 개의 국가 아니면은 두 정상이 모인다는 뜻이 될 텐데 multilateral이니까 다자간의 이제 모임인데요. 그냥 모임이 아니고 the summit of a mountain is the top of a mountain.
네.
So normally when we talk about a political summit, it's people who are very high up, right?
Exactly, it's the top of the top,
Yeah.
the cream of the crop. Yes, it's going to be presidents and prime ministers or foreign ministers, the highest people up there.
그렇죠. 그래서 정상회담, 정상회의를 summit라고 얘기를 합니다. You could say summit meeting, but summit is fine on its
Yes,
own.
I think
Yeah.
to be honest, summit meeting is a tautology.
Yeah, you
It's
don't
where
need
you're
it.
saying the same thing twice.
Yes, that's right. 자, 그러면 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. The Group of 20 has confirmed that Korea will assume the rotating presidency of the annual multilateral summit in 2028, marking its second time leading a G20 gathering since hosting the fifth summit in November 2010. All right, let's move on to the next headline.
Korea has approved a telecom-level system designed to block illegal spam and smishing messages sent from spoofed, inactive or unassigned numbers frequently used in financial scams before they reach users.
Okay there, Paul.
Oh, I'm fine. I had a frog in my throat.
Oh, okay. 자, 발신 번호를 해지, 정지, 미할당 번호 등으로 바꿔서 발송하는 불법 스팸 및 스미싱 메시지를 통신사 차원에서 미리 차단하는 스팸 번호 차단 시스템이 개인정보보호위원회의 사전 적정성 검토를 통과했습니다. Tell us more.
I think I was just so excited and happy about the news that,
This is good
that my
news.
throat seized up. It's very good news for
Yep.
all of us who are annoyed by these weird messages that might get, messages that sometimes could put us in danger, that could scam us.
It's so annoying
It
at
is.
the very least.
Yes.
And it can be, terrible in terms if you get scammed, then
Exactly.
it's awful.
Yeah, but now we have the Personal Information Protection Commission have said that they have this new spam number filtering system, and what it does is it checks mass text requests when some number is trying to send messages to hundreds of people at the same time. They will have a database of valid and invalid phone numbers. And then they will intercept those bulk messages if they're coming from spoofed numbers or inactive numbers or unassigned numbers.
This is great for, I think, the elderly especially, because younger people probably they know what to do. They know how to, delete the spam or not check those messages. But I'm generalizing here, but the older you get, it might be hard to distinguish between what's a spam message or what isn't.
Yes.
So if the actual telecom company filters it out beforehand, then this is excellent.
But it's also for the foreign population. We have a large
Yes,
foreign population in
yes.
Korea. And for those of us who may speak and read Korean, sometimes we too can look at a message and think, is this real? Is this not? And the really shocking thing is, authorities say that more than half of all the mass texts that were sent last year were illegal spam.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so we're talking about a huge number. So spam prevention is really, really important. Those who are sending these legitimately need to make sure that they have a valid phone number. And those who are breaking the law, well, they're going to be stopped.
Right. Well, this telecom level system is designed to block those spam messages.
Yes, when we talk about an invention, a machine, a computer program that's designed to do something, in this case, block messages, meaning that's what it's been created to do. It has been made for that purpose.
Exactly. 자, 뭐뭐 하도록 만들어졌다, 설계됐다. Something has been designed to do something. Pens were designed to help us jot things down.
Yes, you seemed a
Phones.
little uncertain about that. Were you not assuming their use?
I was like, what were pens designed for?
Designed to write.
Smartphones were designed for all sorts of purposes.
Yeah,
the internet,
these days it seems
diary,
like
and
they're designed to get us addicted.
a little bit of that too. Alright, 자, 이렇게 하도록 설계가 됐다. Be designed to do something. 자, 다음으로요. Spoofed numbers 한번 볼까요?
Yes, a spoofed number is a fake number, a false number. We use it for phone numbers and for email addresses, for
Right.
things when scam artists, con artists are pretending to be someone they're not. So, for example, if you get a spam email, it'll be from one email address, but the return address will be different. And you can think, well, they're probably spoofing their addresses there.
Yeah. Sometimes I receive spam mail from me. So it's not me, but it
Wow.
says my name on it.
Congratulations.
So I feel like I've been hacked or something. And this
How odd.
is so terrifying that, some internet hacker out there,
Yeah.
is looking up names and then sending you stuff from you, which is not
Exactly.
really from you.
And what's also bad is spoof for me when I was growing up was a great word.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about a spoof, it's generally a parody of something. So, for example, when you see comedians doing their own version of a hit song or a hit movie, that that can be called a spoof or a parody. So I really like this word. However, in the internet age, I've come to dislike the word spoof because it means to fake or to falsify, to deceive.
코미디계에서는 사실 이게 뭐 어떤 패러디의 느낌으로도 쓰이는 단어인데 spoof가 여기서 말하는 거는요. 도용됐다라는 의미로 굉장히 부정적인
네.
뜻을 가지고 있어요. 자, 그럼 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. Korea has approved a telecom-level system designed to block illegal spam and smishing messages sent from spoofed, inactive, or unassigned numbers frequently used in financial scams before they reach users.
The Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology and the Korea Brain Research Institute have confirmed that a specific color of OLED light can reduce a key Alzheimer's-related protein and improve memory in animal models, suggesting a potential new direction for non-drug treatments.
한국과학기술원 카이스트와 한국뇌연구원 합동연구팀이 동물 모델을 대상으로 실험한 결과 특정 색의 OLED 빛이 알츠하이머병의 대표적 원인 물질인 단백질 덩어리를 감소시키고 기억력을 향상시킬 수 있음을 확인했습니다. 이로써 앞으로 이 분야 비약물 치료법의 새로운 길이 열릴 전망입니다. Who would have guessed you can use OLED in this way?
Yeah, I mean, for those of us in everyday life, OLED we normally associate with TVs
Yeah,
and monitors.
right.
But yes, here they tested OLED colors, blue, green, and red, at the same brightness with no heat, no uneven light back and forth that you get with other LEDs.
Yeah.
And they compared the effect of these lights at a 40 hertz flicker rate, and they found that the effect on animals was actually quite remarkable. Red and white lights actually helped animals remember better, and it also decreased this harmful protein called amyloid beta, sometimes known as plaque, in certain brain regions. So it's anti-inflammation, it helps you remember, it helps get rid of this protein, and they say that wearable red OLED devices may become a new treatment option for Alzheimer's. This could be the next step.
What does this mean? It means it's a potential new direction for non-drug treatments.
Yes, and if it's a potential something, that means it's possible.
Yeah.
It could happen. There's more than a 50% chance maybe. Potential, you don't want to assume anything with the word potential. It just means there's a chance of it happening. There's a possibility of something happening.
In this case, it's used as an adjective. 그래서 가능성이 있는, 잠재적인이 되겠죠. But you can also use it as a noun. Someone
Yes.
has a lot of potential.
Yeah, and it's the same feeling here that
Yeah.
you have the capability to
Sure.
do something. We talk about students having the potential to be a mathematician or to be an actor or to be a doctor or I don't know, any job.
그래요. 그래서 명사일 때는 똑같이 쓰는데 잠재력이 되겠습니다. What's a non-drug treatment?
Well, it's a treatment without any drugs. So a treatment is going to be something that helps you medically. We
Yeah.
talk about a treatment, and often that will be drug related, whether it's a pill or a salve or an ointment or a lotion, whatever it may be. But if it's a non-drug treatment, then it's something that contains no drugs. Physical therapy is a non-drug treatment, for example.
Sure.
If you break your leg and you're having difficulty walking, you may get physical therapy to help get your muscles moving and get you back on your feet. Doesn't mean you have to take drugs for the treatment.
그래요. Physical therapy는 물리치료가 되겠죠. 이것도 이제 약물 치료랑 다른 건데 여기서 non-drug라는 게 약물을 사용하지 않았다. 그래서 drug가 들어간 또 다른 그 약국 표시.
Yeah.
그것도 똑같이 약물이라는 의미가 있어서 drugstore, 약국. 그 pharmacy라고 부를 수도 있지만은요.
or chemists.
chemist라고 부르기도 하고 약국을 뜻하는 단어가 많이 있습니다. 그 중에 하나가 이 단어가 들어가는데 non-drug treatment니까요. 비약물 치료법이 되겠습니다. 다시 읽어볼게요. The Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, or KAIST, and the Korea Brain Research Institute have confirmed that a specific color of OLED light can reduce a key Alzheimer's-related protein and improve memory in animal models, suggesting a potential new direction for non-drug treatments. Here's headline number 4.
Archaeologists in Estonia have discovered a piece of Stone Age gum chewed by a teenage girl 10,500 years ago, after analysing teeth marks and traces of saliva preserved in the prehistoric material.
에스토니아 고고학계가 한 선사시대의 자료에 남은 치아 자국과 타액 흔적을 분석해 이것이 1500년 전 석기시대의 10대 소녀가 씹었던 일종의 껌 조각으로 추정된다고 밝혔습니다. Wow, gum
Yes, but
from 10,000 years ago.
not the gum you'll find in the convenience store these days.
Not bubble gum, not chewing
No,
gum.
it's-
Well, it is a kind of chewing gum.
It's
yeah.
birch gum.
Aha.
Birch tar, as it's called. And that's made from heated bark or burnt bark. So silver birch is very common in Europe. I mean, near my house in my hometown, so many silver birches around.
Yeah,
And 10,000 years ago, well, they were using it as gum. It can also be used as a glue. It's quite a useful tree.
Yeah.
And so they extracted the DNA from the saliva they found on this gum. And they've managed to work out that it was probably chewed by a girl who had brown hair and brown eyes. And it's quite astonishing that a 10,000-year-old piece of gum can give us all that information.
와. silver birch tree가 이제 겉이 약간 은빛이 돌아가지고 이렇게 이름이 불리는 나무인데요. 그 나무 한 조각을 이제 씹었던 것 같아요. It's just remarkable that people from 10,000 years ago also wanted to chew on something. The
Well-
way we do, I guess.
Well, where did toothbrushes come from?
Okay.
Chewing on bark. Where did we get aspirin? Willow trees.
Really? Didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I mean, if we look back at herbal medicine,
Yeah.
There are lots of very good drug treatments that came from plants and
그렇군요.
trees and other things.
그래요. 어쨌든 이제 만년 전에도 뭔가 이렇게 씹었다는 거 껌처럼 그런 거 우리가 알 수가 있고 지금 이게 이제 나무 껍질을 씹은 것으로 이렇게 추정이 되는데요. 어쨌든 일종의 껌입니다. 그리고 10대 소녀가 씹었던 것으로 추정이 된다고 해요. 그래서 발음 얘기를 좀 하자면은 우리는 껌이라고 하는데 쌍기역이 들어가죠. 영어로는 뭐라고 해요?
Gum.
약간 더 약해요. You don't say gum,
No,
right?
no, you don't need to say gum. You say gum.
gum. 그래서 그냥 기역 같은 발음이에요. gum.
Yeah, just
근데
think
부드러워요.
think of a Korean bear, a gum chewing gum.
아, 곰이 먹는 gum.
Yeah.
생각보다 발음이 쉽지가 않네요. 네, 어쨌든 발음이 좀 다릅니다. 우리말은 이제 외래어로 쓰기는 하는데 우리는 껌이라고 하는 거를 영어로는 gum이라고 하고요. What's traces of something?
Oh, if there are traces of something, there are very small amounts of something. For example, there are people with peanut allergies or other nut
Yes.
allergies. And even if there are traces of nuts in something, they can still have a reaction, even if there's just a tiny, tiny little amount, a trace of peanuts.
그래요. 뭐뭇의 흔적이 되겠죠. 땅콩 알러지 심한 분들은 땅콩의 흔적만 있어도 알러지 반응이 나온다고 하고요. What's prehistoric?
Well, do you want to get very specific?
You don't have to.
Well, I'm going to.
Okay.
I've unilaterally decided to. Before 3,200 BCE. That is when history, recorded history, began. Basically, we use this for when we have detailed documents relating to the times and what happened, and that goes back to 3,200 BCE. Before then, we didn't, so we call it prehistory, or something is prehistoric, meaning it happened in a time when we didn't have recorded history.
그래요. 이게 선사시대가 되겠습니다. 이거 선사 한자를 봐도
네.
영어랑 똑같네요. pre는 이전이니까 선, 그다음에 historic가 이제 역사의 그 사가 되겠죠. 선사시대. 자, 그럼 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. Archaeologists in Estonia have discovered a piece of Stone Age gum, quote unquote, chewed by a teenage girl 10,500 years ago after analyzing teeth marks and traces of saliva preserved in the prehistoric material. Here's our final headline.
An American man who set out to raise funds and awareness for disabled veterans has broken the world record for the longest distance run in 24 hours while carrying an 18-kilogram backpack.
한 퇴역 미군이 장애인 참전 용사를 위한 기금 마련 및 인식 제고를 위해 18kg 무게의 배낭을 메고 24시간 동안 달리는 도전에 나서서 이 부문 최장거리 달리기 세계 신기록을 경신했습니다. Something I want to explain to our Korean listeners is this fundraising that people do in the West ever since childhood, where you run and you ask people to donate money. We don't do this in Korea, so people may not be familiar. So I'm just going to explain. 이제 외국 서양에서는요, 아주 어릴 때부터 학교에서도 모금 행사 차원에서 아이들이 마라톤은 아니겠죠. 달리기를 하면서 이제 주변의 어른들한테 얘기를 합니다. 제가 뭐 예를 들자면 50m를 뛸 때마다 $1씩 기부해 주시겠어요? 그러면은 사인해요.
네.
그래가지고 뭐 예를 들어서 한 500m를 뛰었다. 그러면은 뭐 어떻게 되나요?
$10.
아, 네. 그래서 맞아요?
네.
네. 그래서 $10.
왜? Why don't you think I can do my maths?
아니 맞을 거예요. 제가 계산이 안 돼서 그러지. 그런 식으로 그렇게 달리기를 하면서 모금을 하는 행사가 아주 어릴 때부터 그냥 문화적으로 자리 잡혀 있어요.
Yeah.
그래서 코로나 시기 때 영국에서 굉장히 유명했던 그 100세 할아버지가 있었는데
Yes.
그 할아버지도 이제 집의 정원을 100바퀴를 돌았나? 한 바퀴 돌 때마다 여러분 뭐 1파운드씩 기부해 주세요. 이런 식으로 해가지고 어마어마하게 많은 돈이 기부가 됐고 그 돈을 고스란히 다 NHS 그 의료 뭐라 그러죠? 갑자기 생각이 안 나네요. NHS에다가 the National Health System,
National Health Service.
국가 의료. Thank you 작가님. 국가 의료 에다가 다 기부를 했어요. 그래서 지금 그런 차원이에요. 지금 이 미국 남자가 이렇게 달렸다. 기부를 하기 위해서 달렸다. 그럼 한국에서는 아니, 왜 기부를 하는데 왜 달리기를 해? 이거를 많이 한다는 거. 요 얘기를 좀 제가 장황하게 했습니다.
Yeah, and to go one further, adults will do the sponsored runs. Children more likely will do sponsored walks.
그래요.
That's the more common
아이들은
one.
사실 많이 달릴 수 없고 멀리 갈 수 없으니까 어린이 때는 걷는 것만 해도
Yeah, I used to do it. I used to go
맞아,
like
맞아.
16 kilometers.
와, 그렇게 많이?
A 10-mile walk.
와.
Yeah.
그래서 예를 들자면은 16km 했으면은 내가 1km를 걸을 때마다 1파운드씩 기부해 주세요. 이런 식으로 해서 사인을 받아요.
네.
그래서 16km 했으면 16파운드 받고 뭐 이런 식으로 하겠죠.
네네네.
그게
Oh, very good maths.
이번에는 됐어. 이런 식으로 달리기나 걷기를 통해서 기부하는 게 일상화가 되어 있다는 것을 알아야
Yes. And
왜 이렇게 뛰었나 이거를 알 수 있을 것 같아요.
yeah, because he's not doing this for fun. He's an amazing human being. His name's Mark Jones. He is himself a US military veteran. He's raising money for the Oscar Mike Foundation.
Sure.
And this is a non-profit that supports disabled veterans.
맞아요.
And so he has been doing endurance runs for a long time and all sorts of challenges like this. They call them rucking challenges, which is
Okay.
where you do cardio with a weighted rucksack. And he set this new record, 142.7 kilometers in 24 hours.
와, it's amazing. 그러니까 사실 그냥 기부해 주세요 하면은 왠지 사람들이 기부를 좀 잘 안 하죠. 그런데 이렇게 실제로 내 몸을 쓰면서 내가 이걸 하고
Yeah.
있으니까 이거 이 사람 같은 경우에는 무거운 배낭을 메고 뛴 거예요. 그러니까 사실 좀 더 힘든 그런 뭐라 그럴까요? 기부 이벤트를 한 거죠. 스스로 모금 이벤트. 네. 자, 그럼 표현을 좀 보도록 하겠습니다. To set out. This man set out to raise funds.
Yes, if we set out to do something, that's how we start. That's how we begin. Whatever it is, it can be that we change, that we do something else. We do something different to what we set out to do,
Sure.
but that is how we start something.
그래요. 자, 이거는 바로 어떤 일에 착수한다라는 뜻이 있고요. To raise funds and awareness.
Yes, to raise funds is to get money.
Yep.
And we'll use this for charities. We talk about raising funds for charities and non-profit organizations, but we can also raise awareness,
Yes.
which is not about money, it's about knowledge. It's getting more and more people to know about whatever it is we care about.
Exactly. 자, 모금하는 것을 to raise funds. 그 다음에 인식 제고하는 거 raise awareness라고 합니다. 이 두 가지 목적을 위해서 무거운 짐을 들고 달린 겁니다. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. An American man who set out to raise funds and awareness for disabled veterans has broken the world record for the longest distance run in 24 hours while carrying an 18-kilogram backpack. All right, well, that's it for the headlines this morning with Paul Matthews.
Consumer sentiment reached its highest level in 8 years this month, supported by robust export performance and the conclusion of tariff negotiations with the United States, according to the central bank.
한국은행은 수출 실적 호조와 더불어 미국과의 관세 협상 관련 불확실성이 해소됨에 따라 11월 국내 소비자 심리 지수가 8년 만에 가장 높은 수준을 기록했다고 발표했습니다. Tell us more.
Right, so they're saying that the consumer sentiment has reached an 8-year high in November, and it's been boosted by strong exports and, of course, the end of U.S. tariff negotiations. The Bank of Korea's Consumer Tendency Survey reported a composite sentiment index of 112.4, and that was up 2.6 points from October. And, of course, a reading above 100 signals that optimists outnumber pessimists. They say that this is the highest level since 2017 when the index hit 113.9. The index for consumers' 6 months economic outlook rose 8 points to 102, while the gauge for current economic conditions increased 5 points to 96.
So we're just looking at the month of November every year. And 2017 was the highest, as you said, 117, just over that.
113, yeah.
Oh, sorry, 113.9
Yes.
back in 2017.
Yeah.
And this November, 112.4. 그래요. 2017년 11월에는 113.9였던 소비자 심리 지수. 그때가 이제 좀 높았는데요. 그 이후로는 계속 낮은 조금 더 낮았습니다. 이 소비자 심리 지수가. 그러다가 이번 11월에 다시금 오른 모습이어서요. 112.4를 기록했다고 합니다. 이제 100 이상이면은 좀 더 긍정적으로 소비자들이 생각하고 있다라고 생각할 수 있고, 그다음에 이제 100 이하면은 좀 부정적으로 보고 있다. 쉽게 풀이를 하면은 그런데요. 소비자 심리 지수를 consumer sentiment 라고 표현을 하네요.
Right, right. So sentiment is kind of like your view or your attitude towards a certain situation
Yeah.
or an event. So it would be like an opinion.
오케이. 자, sentiment라는 게 여기서는 의견의 뜻을 가지고 있는데 원래는 감정이라는 뜻이죠. 그래서 우리는 이제 소비자 심리 지수라고 하잖아요. 그 심리에 해당되는 단어입니다. What about robust?
Robust. Robust would mean strong and healthy or vigorous. And we're talking about like a process or a system or an organization. And being that it's able to withstand or overcome sort of adverse conditions.
Sure, I think of strong when I hear the word robust.
Yeah.
탄탄하다, 굉장히 강건하다 이런 게 robust가 되겠습니다. 다시 읽어볼게요. Consumer sentiment reached its highest level in 8 years this month, supported by robust export performance and the conclusion of tariff negotiations with the US, according to the central bank. Now let's move on to our next headline.
The International Monetary Fund has projected that Korea's economy will enter a recovery phase in the second half of this year, with a clear rebound expected in 2026 as domestic and global uncertainties ease.
국제통화기금 IMF는 한국 경제가 올해 하반기부터 회복 국면으로 진입해 대내외 불확실성이 감소하는 내년에는 상승세가 뚜렷해질 것으로 전망했습니다. So earlier on we had a central bank projection. This time we have an IMF projection, and we're looking at different things, of course. In our first headline, it was about consumer sentiment, and this time around, we're looking at Korea's economy as a whole.
As a whole, right? So, earlier it was more of a domestic point of view.
Yeah.
This is more of a global, I guess, an international point of view. So this is according to the IMF's annual Article 4 consultation report, and it kept the growth forecast at 0.9% for Korea this year and 1.8% for next year. And the outlook is based on September interviews with government agencies, including the Finance Ministry and the Bank of Korea. It said that private consumption is expected to pick up later this year, supported by accommodative monetary and fiscal policies and improved consumer sentiment. There's that word again, sentiment. And easing domestic and global uncertainties, along with the impact of the 2025 supplementary budget. They said that it is expected to further bolster growth next year.
So both domestic and global uncertainties will ease next year. 그래서 내년에는 경제 전망치가 이제 1.8%고요. IMF에서 이렇게 내다보고 있습니다. 올해는 0.9로 예상이 되는데 아직 올해가 다 가지 않았기 때문에 다 전망치입니다. Let's have a look at a recovery phase.
Right. So phase, we say that we carry out like certain projects in phases.
Sure.
So a phase would be a distinct period or stage in a series of events or a process of change or development.
Yeah, and with kids, sometimes we say it's just a phase. 지금 한때만 그러는 거야. 이런 의미로 쓰기도 하죠. phase라는 게 하나의 단계라는 의미가 있습니다. What about uncertainties?
Uncertainty. So if you're certain about something, that means you're very sure about something. But if you're uncertain about something, that means you're not sure.
Yeah.
So if there are uncertainties, that means that something is uncertain or you are not sure that something will happen.
그래요. 불확실성을 uncertainty라고 합니다. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. The IMF, or the International Monetary Fund, has projected that Korea's economy will enter a recovery phase in the second half of this year, with a clear rebound expected in 2026 as domestic and global uncertainties ease.
A volcano in Ethiopia, located about 800 kilometers northeast of Addis Ababa, has erupted for the first time in nearly 12,000 years, sending thick plumes of smoke up to 14 kilometers into the sky and across the Red Sea.
지금까지 12,000년 가까이 활동이 없던 에티오피아의 하일리 구비 화산이 분화했습니다. 수도 아디스아바바에서 북동쪽으로 약 800km 떨어져 있는 이 화산이 활동을 재개하면서 짙은 연기 기둥이 하늘로 최대 14km 치솟으며 홍해 일대까지 퍼졌습니다. Tell us more.
Yeah, so this Haile Gubi volcano, it's located in the Afar region near the Eritrean border, and the 500-meter volcano erupted for several hours on Sunday, but they do say that no casualties were reported. Local officials warned that ash has covered villages, threatening livestock and the livelihoods of herding communities there. The Afar region is part of the geologically active Rift Valley. It's prone to earthquakes, and residents describe loud blasts and shock waves during the eruption. Ash clouds were observed drifting as far as Yemen, Oman, India, and northern Pakistan. And according to the Smithsonian Institution, Haile Gubi has no known eruptions during the Holocene, confirming that it has been dormant for a millennia.
Yeah, when we talk about volcanoes, we hear the words active, dormant, extinct. Those are the three. What do they mean?
Well, this is when it's dormant, it means that it hasn't been active for a while.
But it's still alive. Whereas an extinct volcano means it's dead, basically,
yeah, it's dead.
right?
It's not a volcano.
Yeah. It's not going to erupt at all. And then an active one is obviously, it keeps erupting.
Yeah.
그래요. 우리가 이제 활화산, 휴화산, 사화산 얘기하는 거 영어로는 active, dormant, extinct volcano라고 얘기하는데 지금 화산 같은 경우는 dormant였어요. 꽤 오랫동안.
When you think of dormant, you can think it's sleeping.
Yeah. 그 불어에도 dorme가 자다.
Yeah,
이런
like
뜻이.
dormitory.
dormitory.
Yes.
같은 어원이잖아.
Yeah.
다 아마 이제 같은 라틴어에서 오지 않았을까 추측이 되는데 잔다는 뜻이에요. dom이라는 게 들어가면은. 자, 그런데 얼마나 오랫동안 이 화산이 자고 있었느냐, 휴화산이었느냐 한 1200년 정도, 12,000년
Yes,
정도.
yes.
Sorry. 자, 정도라는 표현 여기서 nearly라고 했거든요. Let's have a look at that.
Yeah, nearly. It means almost or very close to something.
Yeah, exactly. You could say approximately, almost, around. These are all interchangeable. And what's a plume?
A plume. So we use this a lot when we say plume of smoke.
Yeah.
Especially when we are referring to like fires or volcanoes. But we are referring to like a long cloud of smoke or maybe vapor that kind of resembles a feather as it spreads from its point of origin.
A plume of smoke는 연기 기둥이에요. 그래서 plume 자체가 이제 기둥이라는 의미지만 그렇다고 건물의 기둥을 plume이라고 하지는 않아요.
No.
이런 이제 연기 기둥이나 수증기 기둥 이런 것들만 a plume of smoke or ashes 이런 식으로 표현을 합니다. 자, 다시 읽어볼게요. A volcano in Ethiopia, located about 800 kilometers northeast of Addis Ababa, has erupted for the first time in nearly 12,000 years, sending thick plumes of smoke up to 14 kilometers into the sky and across the Red Sea. Here's our next headline.
The British Parliament is considering implementing a nightly tourist tax for both local and foreign visitors on all accommodation across England, including campsites, hotels, and bed and breakfasts.
영국 의회가 캠핑장, 호텔, 민박 등 영국 전역의 숙박시설에서 자국민과 외국인 방문객 모두를 대상으로 관광세 개념의 숙박세 제도를 시행하는 것을 고려 중인 것으로 알려졌습니다.
Yeah.
Tell us more.
Yeah, so the government or the UK government, they're set to allow cities, starting with London, to impose this tourist tax on overnight stays. It's through the English Devolution and Community Empowerment Bill, and this levy would apply to hotels, Airbnb, bed and breakfast, campsites, and caravan parks, with councils able to set a flat fee or a percentage of the stay, potentially adding around £10 or $20 per night in London. And they're saying that the proceeds could fund tourism promotion, cultural events, heritage sites, and local infrastructure. So there are critics, of course. There are two sides of the story always. And they're saying that the critics are warning that the tax could deter visitors, while supporters are arguing that it offsets the cost that tourism imposes on local councils.
A lot of Western countries, namely cities rather, like
Yes.
Paris,
Yeah.
New York, and Milan, and even here in Asia, Tokyo as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
they already have these added taxes. 숙박세나 도시세 같은 것들이 이제 이미 관광세 일부를 이루고 있는 도시들이 있어요.
Yes.
영국에서는 우리도 하자. 다른 나라도 다른 도시도 하고 있는데 이런 입장이기는 합니다만 근데 이미 지금 비싼 런던에서 이것까지 더하면은 관광에 타격을 입지 않을까 하는 우려도 있고요.
Yeah.
그럼에도 불구하고 지금 영국 내에서는 스코틀랜드하고 웨일즈는 이미 도입을 했죠. 그리고 런던이 우리도 하는 게 좋을 것 같은데 라는 그런 입장인 것 같습니다. Let's have a look at nightly fees
Yeah.
or nightly taxes.
Yeah, nightly.
Nightly,
So
yeah.
we mentioned that they would tax them on overnight stays. So if something is happening nightly, that means it's happening or done every night.
매일 밤마다 nightly 이렇게 표현을 하고요. Bed and breakfast는 영국의 숙박 형태인데 이게 뭔지 선생님도 잘 알고 계시죠?
Yeah, B&B. B&B.
미국에도 있어요?
Yeah.
아, 미국에도 있군요.
Yeah,
저는
yeah.
영국에만 있는 줄
So
알았는데.
you would stay and they would give you so it's basically it's like a hotel, but you would not really a hotel, I guess. But it's where you would it's an accommodation
Yeah.
where you would spend a night and they would offer you a breakfast morning meal as well. And it's kind of provided in these guest houses or small hotels. It's very homey.
맞아요. 그래서 좀 좋은 민박집 같은 느낌이라고 보시면 됩니다. 진짜 그냥 보통의 민박집도 있지만 정말 예쁘게 꾸며놔서 그런 숙박을 그냥 그 전문으로 하는 민박집들도 있거든요. B&B라고 줄여서 말하는데 bed and breakfast. 숙식을 제공하는 그런 민박집을 말합니다. 호텔보다는 아무래도 조금 저렴하지만 또 이제 전혀 다른 경험이어서
Yeah.
이거 선호하는 분들이 있고
Kind of-
B&B에 따라서는 호텔보다 비쌀 수도 있어요.
Yes,
네,
yes.
비쌀
And
수도 있어요.
you would kind of get a feel for maybe like a homestay.
Yeah.
It would be, it's not like a hotel kind of feeling, like
No,
a commercial feeling, but
Yeah.
more of a home feeling.
맞습니다. 다시 읽어볼게요. The British Parliament is considering implementing a nightly tourist tax for both local and foreign visitors on all accommodation across England, including campsites, hotels, and bed and breakfasts. Now here's our final headline.
An enigmatic self-portrait by Frida Kahlo has set a new record for the Mexican painter, fetching $55 million at auction and becoming the most expensive work by a Latin American artist.
멕시코 화가 프리다 칼로의 수수께끼 같은 자화상이 미국 뉴욕 경매에서 약 5,500만 달러, 우리 돈으로 약 805억 원에 판매되면서 중남미 작가 작품들의 낙찰가 중 최고 기록을 세웠습니다. If we have a look at the first part of this sentence in English, it says Frida Kahlo has set a new record, and this is a new record for her, which means she already had a record.
Yes.
이 문장 구조를 사실 잘 보게 되면은 우리가 직역을 하진 않았지만 자신의 기록을 깼다 이런 말이 있어요. 그냥 set a new record 까지만 했으면은 새로운 기록을 깬 건데 for the Mexican painter,
Yeah.
for her,
Yeah.
자기의 기록을 깼습니다. 그러니까 기존에 2021년이었나요? 그때도 중남미 작가로서는 이제 최고 기록을 세웠습니다. And once again, the late Frida Kahlo has broken her own record.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
tell us more about that.
Yeah. So it's a self-portrait. So it's
Okay.
a portrait that she drew of herself. And it's the title of this piece. It's called Dream the Bed, and it sold for $54.7 million at Sotheby's in New York. So as we mentioned, it set a record for the highest price ever paid for a work by a female artist, and the sale surpasses the previous record of $44.4 million that was set by Georgia O'Keeffe in 2014. So this painting, it's from a private collection, exempt from Mexican export rules, and it shows Kahlo sleeping on a floating bed under a golden blanket
Yep.
entwined with vines, with a skeleton wrapped in dynamite beside her. And only a few of Kahlo's works are privately owned outside of Mexico, as most are designated as national art monuments. Kahlo, better known during her life as Diego Rivera, who was also an artist, his wife, has since become celebrated worldwide with her 2021 self-portrait Diego and I, previously setting a record for a Latin American artist.
그래요. 많은 기사에서 이제 여성 화가로서는 최고의 낙찰가로 이번에 이 그림이 팔렸다라고 하기는 합니다만은 뉴욕 타임스 기사에서는 이 물가 상승까지 반영을 해서 봐야 된다. 그렇게 보면은 최고의 낙찰가가 아니다. 1932년도에 조지아 오케프가 그렸던 그림 Jimson Weed White Flower No. 1이라는 게 있었는데요.
Yeah.
그때 당시에 팔렸던 $44 million를 요즘의 물가로 환산을 하면 한 $60 million가 된다는 거예요. 근데 이번에 프리다 칼로의 그림이 $55 million에 팔렸거든요. 뉴욕 타임스 기사는 물가 상승까지 반영하면은 여성 화가 중에 가장 높은 낙찰가를 받은 화가가 아니다라고 하나
That is
사실
also important as well.
그렇게 볼 수도 있지만
Yeah.
또 액면가 그대로만 놓고 보면은요 가장 높은 그 낙찰가예요. 그래서 CNN 등 많은 또 다른 외신에서는 this is the most
The most
expensive
expensive.
painting for a female artist라고
Right.
명시하고 있습니다.
Yeah, this is too confusing if you take
그러니까-
like inflation into account, right?
어쨌든 굉장히 이제 비싸게 팔린 건
Yeah.
맞고요. 근데 이제 뭐 이게 가장 여류 화가 중에서 뭐 비싼 거냐 아니냐 디베이트가 좀 있지만 어쨌든 상당히 높은 가격에 팔린 거는 사실입니다.
Yes.
All right, let's have a look at enigmatic.
Well, we mentioned that there was a skeleton wrapped in dynamite beside her, and it's a self-portrait. So, and her life was also a mystery as well.
Yeah.
So we would use this word to describe someone like her and this portrait as well. So enigmatic. It means it's difficult to interpret or understand or mysterious.
제가 지금 이 그림을 보고 있거든요. 이게 프리다 칼로의 꿈, 괄호 열고 침대, 괄호 닫고. 영어로는 Dream인가요?
Dream the bed. Yeah.
Dream the Bed라는 작품이에요. 그래서 침대가 있고 그 침대에 황금색 이불을 덮고 있는 프리다 칼로의 모습이 있습니다. 그런데 침대 위에도 해골이 있고 침대 안에도 해골을 지금 안고 있는 건가요? 그림이 자세히 보이진 않는데 그래서 수수께끼 같다는 거예요. 이게 뭐지? 이런 생각이 들잖아요.
Yeah.
그 수수께끼 같다. Enigmatic라고 합니다. Enigma 이게 또 수수께끼예요. 제가 기억나는 거는 예전에 배트맨 시리즈에서 리들러를 엔ig마다
Yes.
이렇게 표현했던 것 같아요. 아, 이 사람은 참 수수께끼야. 왜냐면은 리들이 뭐예요? 이것도 수수께끼거든요. 그래서 리들은 그 퀴즈 형태의 수수께끼고 엔ig마는 정말 알 수 없다라는 의미의 수수께끼예요. 자, 이 그림이 enigmatic합니다. And what's a self-portrait?
Self-portrait. So that means it's a portrait of an artist that was produced or created by that artist. So it would be a picture of me that I drew myself.
Yeah. 자화상이죠. self-portrait. 그래서 자기 자신을 뜻하는 많은 영어 단어 중에 self가 들어가는데요. 자존감.
Selfie.
아, 셀피는
Yeah.
우리 이제 뭐라 그러나 우리말로? 갑자기 생각이 안 나네요. 우리말로 뭐라 그러죠? 셀카.
Yes.
영어로는 selfie라고 하는데 우리는 셀카. 그다음에 이제 자존감은 self-esteem. 또 자율주행 자동차는 self-driving이라고 할 수도 있고요. 자서전은 self 대신에 auto를 써가지고 autobiography.
Yeah.
그리고 이제 자신의 그 사인 있잖아요. 연예인 사인. 이거 autograph라고 하죠. graph가 쓴다라는 뜻이고 auto는 자신이라는 뜻이어서
Yep.
Can I get your autograph? 이러면은 연예인 사인을 받고 싶습니다라는 뜻이에요. 근데 연예인한테 가서 Can you sign this? 그러면 서명해 주세요. 라는 뜻이니까 좀 다릅니다. 다시 읽어볼게요. An enigmatic self-portrait by Frida Kahlo has set a new record for the Mexican painter, fetching $55 million at auction and becoming the most expensive work by a Latin American artist. All right, well, that's it for the headlines.
The number of births surpassed 190,000 in the first 9 months of 2025, amounting to the largest year-over-year increase in nearly 2 decades, according to the Ministry of Data and Statistics.
국가데이터처에 따르면 올해 3분기까지 집계된 국내 출생아 수가 19만 명을 넘어서면서 전해 대비 증가폭이 18년 만에 가장 큰 것으로 나타났습니다. Tell us more.
Yeah, so 191,040 babies were born between January and September. That is up 12,488 from the total a year earlier. And it is a huge increase, especially when you compare it with the last 20 years when, you know, we've been going through a birth crisis
Yeah.
of sorts. So the fact that they've come back in big numbers certainly shows a good thing. And this has been, you know, a trend that's been going on for a while that we've seen each of the months lining up with the year before.
Yeah, the number of babies born each month, as you said, has been inching up. It's not shooting up, but it's been going up a little bit, which is very, very good news, I suppose, and optimistic news for Korea because we do have an extremely low birth rate, the lowest in the world.
Yes.
All right, let's have a look at this first expression, amounting to something.
When something amounts to something, then you're getting a total or a final amount or an assessment of something where you can look and add everything up. And
Yeah.
so you get like, a sum or a total.
amounting to something이 여기서는 합계가 얼마가 되다라는 의미가 되겠네요. And then it says amounting to the largest year-over-year increase.
Yeah, and when we talk about year over year, we're talking about a comparison from the year before. So if we look at last year and we compare that to this year and maybe even next year, it's like a consecutive years thing that you're looking at as a comparison model.
year over year. 줄여서 YOY라고도 경제학에서 쓰는 것 같은데요. 이거는 전년 동기 대비 작년 같은 기간에 비해서라는 뜻이 되겠고 이제 보면 amounting to 뒤에 나왔어요. 그래서 amounting to 하고 숫자가 나왔으면은 합계가 몇이다. 이렇게 해석을 하겠지만 이게 숫자가 안 나오고 작년 대비 아니면 전년 대비 가장 이제 큰 increase, 그 증가폭을 보이고 있다라는 설명이 나왔기 때문에 지금 이제 올해 1월부터 9월까지의 출생아 수가 지금까지 봤던 한 18년 만에 거의 20년 만에 봤던 증가폭 중에서 가장 높은 것에 해당한다라고 할 수 있어요. 그래서 amounting to를 해당한다 이렇게 해석할 수 있습니다.
Yeah, and with year over year, you will sometimes hear it similarly as year on year
Yep.
as well. So year on year, year over year, it can both be YOY.
Yeah. 그 다음에 또 풀어서 쓸 수도 있어요. You could say compared to the same period last year or
Yes.
compared to the year prior. So there are several ways of saying it. 자, 그럼 다시 읽어보겠습니다. The number of births surpassed 190,000 in the first 9 months of 2025, amounting to the largest year-over-year increase in nearly 2 decades, according to the Ministry of Data and Statistics. Let's move on to the next headline.
The government has unveiled plans to commercialize fully driverless cars by 2027 and build an autonomous driving test city with more than 100 driverless cars in operation.
정부가 2027년까지 완전 자율주행차를 상용화하고 자율주행 실증 도시를 조성해 100대 이상의 자율주행 차량을 투입한다는 계획을 발표했습니다. Alright, so 2027 is only 2 years away. Less than.
Yeah, it's not far at all. We're almost into 2026 in a month and so.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and when it comes to autonomous cars or driverless cars, they look at something called level 3 and level 4.
Okay,
Now,
we're getting technical. Tell us what that is.
so level 3 of autonomous cars is basically a car that can drive by itself, but you still have a person in there with control. In case something were to go wrong, then they can, intervene
Sure.
and prevent an accident from happening. So it's kind of like an autonomous car that has a person in there to make sure that, okay, are you doing a good job? Maybe like when you first learn to drive, you're going to have a person that drives with you or like an instructor.
Sure.
I remember there were cars in North America. I don't know if they have these in Korea, but in driving schools, they had 2 sets of steering wheel, brakes, and gas and things. So that
On each side.
Yeah,
Yeah,
on each
yeah.
side. So if you're learning to
the
drive
same.
and you were going to make a mistake, then your driving instructor
Yes.
could suddenly turn the brakes on or turn the vehicle to avoid an accident from happening.
I feel like you need that.
Yeah, to
like-
make sure, especially if you're out in the public roads, then, if you were to make a mistake, I mean, you could cause an accident.
Sure.
So that would be like a level 3, whereas level 4 would be fully autonomous, where you are in the car and
Okay.
if something's going to happen, then there's, you might be sitting in the back seat, let's say, of a driverless taxi, and there's nothing that you can do to control the vehicle.
Okay, so what's happening with these level 3 and level 4 driverless cars?
So they're making like a driverless car city, or they want to make an area where a lot of these level 4 vehicles are actually going to be able to operate first. So, they're going straight to level 4 where
Yeah.
it's without people. And then they're going to kind of analyze how good of a job it's doing or how successful the system is. And then, I think when they go full into it, then they might pull it back to like a level 3 when they're actually, before they fully commercialize it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. 그래요. 지금 말하고 있는 3단계는 자율주행차지만 그래도 운전자가 운전석에 앉아 있어야 되는 거고 4단계 같은 경우는 그냥 완전 자율주행이네요. 앉아있지도 않아도 되는 거예요. 그런데 이제 그런 4단계 자율주행차를 다닐 수 있도록 하겠다라는 방침이 발표가 됐고요. 표현을 좀 보자면은 these driverless cars will be commercialized by 2027. 이거부터 보겠습니다.
If you commercialize something, then you're making it for the purpose of earning money, to be able to make money on the project. So it's not something that's, say, government funded or a nonprofit project. It's the purpose of it is going to be to make money.
commercialize가 바로 상용화가 되겠어요. 그래서 이 commercial이라고 하면은 광고라는 뜻이 있죠.
Yeah, and what's
It has to do with money.
what's the purpose of making a commercial is you're investing money so that people can see your product or service so that you can earn money from them. So the purpose of making a commercial in the first place is to make money so that your product or service can be better known so that people can see and then they're going to spend money on you. So it's for the purpose of earning money.
그래요. 같이 알아두시면 좋을 것 같은데요. 여기서 말하는 commercializing fully driverless cars는 조금 전에 설명해 주신 4단계 고도 자동화 자율주행차를 2027년까지 상용화하는 게 목적입니다. And what about these autonomous driving test cities? Or test city, I should say.
Yeah, well, that's what they're going to make some area in Korea. And it's modeled after like the projects in San Francisco in the U.S., as well as Wuhan in China, where they have these autonomous driverless cities. So something that's autonomous is something where you're giving control to whatever is autonomous. So an autonomous car means that you are not driving it. You do not have control. You are giving the car control of itself.
여기서 말하는 이제 autonomous라는 것은요, 자율이라는 뜻이 있습니다. 자율적이다. 그래서 autonomous driving test city를 자율주행 실증 도시 이렇게 말을 할 수 있겠고요. 사실은 이제 우리말 뉴스를 영어로 바꾼 거기 때문에 반대로 이제 우리말을 영어로 번역할 때 이렇게 하면 된다라는 걸 기억하시면 되겠습니다. 미국의 샌프란시스코, 또 중국의 우한 등이 바로 이런 autonomous driving test city인데요. 우리나라에도 하나 만들 예정입니다. 현재도 사실 많은 곳이 시범 운행 지구이기는 해요. 근데 그것과는 조금 더 다른 차원의, 좀 더 높은 차원이겠죠. 완전 자율주행 실증 도시를 만들 예정이고요. 현재로서는 우리나라가 아까 얘기했던 그 레벨 3 조건부 자동화 수준의 그런 자율주행 차들이 일부 운행이 되고 있는데 레벨 4의 상용화도 기대해 봅니다. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. The government has unveiled plans to commercialize fully driverless cars by 2027 and build an autonomous driving test city with more than 100 driverless cars in operation.
The UK has announced plans to extend its tax on fizzy drinks implemented in 2018 to include milk-based products such as prepackaged milkshakes and coffee drinks starting in 2028 in an effort to tackle childhood obesity.
영국은 아동 비만 문제를 해결하기 위해 2018년부터 시행한 청량음료 부담금 제도, 일명 설탕세를 2028년부터는 병이나 팩에 담긴 밀크쉐이크와 카페라테 등 우유가 함유된 시판 음료에도 확대 적용하기로 했습니다. Sugar's, really bad for you, but I don't think people realize it quite as much as they do about other things that are not good for you. And now, of course, countries like the UK are making sure people consume less of it.
Yeah, I think the fizzy drinks in particular, when you see people just drink it second nature, especially when you go to certain restaurants, fast food restaurants, and it's just automatically part of a combo or a set. So you don't even think twice about, should I drink water with this or should I drink this fizzy drink? And certainly when you just consume that so naturally without thought, it's not good for you in terms of having that much sugar.
So in order to deter people or, kind of get them to consume less sugar, the UK has levied a sort of tax, made these sugary drinks more expensive. And they're saying, we should make milkshakes more expensive too.
That's right. They're adding that to the mix as well. And they're also changing the threshold of the tax as well. So previously, it was 5 grams of sugar per 100 milliliters. But now they're taxing anything that's 4.5 grams. So half a gram less. Now that's being included in the tax as well. So it's going to include more drinks now.
네, 영국의 보건장관이요. 영국의 아이들의 건강이 악화하는 것을 그냥 보고만 있을 수가 없다. 우리가 정부 차원에서 개입을 하겠다라는 굳은 의지를 보이면서 이제 밀크쉐이크도 설탕이 많이 들어가니까 여기에도 일명 설탕세를 2028년부터 부과하겠다. 또 어른들이 좋아하는 카페 라테 이것도 설탕이 많이 들어가잖아요. 일반적으로는. 거기에도 마찬가지로 설탕세를 부과하겠다.
You know, I think another thing that actually helps out is just the very fact that they're doing this, even if it's not a huge amount, the fact that this is in the news, right? Like because they're doing this and they're making a news story about this, people will see this story and be like, oh, why are they doing this?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah.
So like now it brings attention to the subject as well.
맞아요. 사실 이게 금액적으로 봤을 때는 엄청나게 비싸지는 건 아니겠지만 그래도 인식 제고 차원에서는 굉장히 효과가 있을 것 같고 우리가 지금 뉴스에서 한국에서 얘기를 하고 있는데 영국에서는 뭐 더 많이 보도가 되겠죠. 영국에서 실제로 이런 텍스를 더 많이 내면서 음료수를 마실까 말까 고민하는 분들에게는 정말 건강을 한 번 더 생각하게 하는 그런 게 아닐까 싶습니다. So I know that in North America you say soda,
Yeah, it could be like a soda pop.
soda pop. But in the UK, we normally say fizzy drinks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
탄산음료인데 용어가 다른 거죠. 이게 BBC를 기반으로 한 기사였거든요. 이거는. 그래서 fizzy drinks라는 표현이 바로 그겁니다.
Yeah. We could call it a carbonated drink
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, like there's carbonated water compared to plain water. And yeah, like I noticed in the US, most people will call them sodas or soda pop. But in Canada, we actually don't use soda pop as commonly. Like
You don't use
obvious-
fizzy drinks either.
Yeah, like we know what it is
Yeah.
when we hear it.
Yeah.
But I remember just calling it a carbonated drink or just pop.
Oh.
Yeah, so pop or carbonated drink.
How interesting. These different English-speaking countries using different terms.
I wonder if Australia and New Zealand's different
Yeah,
as well.
I don't know. I lived in Australia for a year, but I don't remember. I think it was just the same, fizzy drinks, because they do have a lot of, British culture in there. Not all of them, but fizzy drinks. 그래요. 탄산음료라는 뜻이고 원래는 carbonated라는 탄산화했다라는 단어가 이제 공식 명칭이긴 하지만 일반적으로는 북미권에서 soda. 그래서 이제 캐대헌에서도 soda pop 이런 거 있잖아요. 그게 탄산음료고 영국에선 fizzy drinks. 자, 다음에는 tackle something.
If you tackle something, then you are preventing the progress of whatever it is that you're tackling.
Yeah.
So think of it like soccer or in football.
Rugby, American football,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like you have a person with the ball and they're running and you physically tackle them, meaning like you grab them or you take them down so that they're no longer able to run,
Yeah.
certainly with the ball. And you're preventing their progress. They're trying to go from point A to point B and you're preventing them from doing that.
Exactly.
So if you think of it physically in sports, that's what it is. But when it comes to, tackling a problem, then you're trying to stop the problem. And you tackle it, you're preventing the progress of the problem.
저도 태클 하면은 꼭 미식축구나 럭비가 생각이 나요. 그래서 상대편이 앞으로 나아가는 것을 막기 위해서 온몸으로 이렇게 딱 막잖아요. 자, 이런 게 태클링인데 그렇다면은 우리가 일상생활에서는 어떻게 쓰느냐? 힘든 문제와 싸운다. 그 문제를 다룬다라는 뜻으로 씁니다.
I guess you could do something like tackling a problem as well. So like maybe if you're at the office, something needs to be done. Say, oh, I can tackle that.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
So then you're sort of taking something on as well. So like you're going to be the one to, I guess, fix the problem or to be able to take care of it.
Exactly. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. The UK has announced plans to extend its tax on fizzy drinks implemented in 2018 to include milk-based products such as pre-packaged milkshakes and coffee drinks starting in 2028 in an effort to tackle childhood obesity. Here's our next headline.
Jakarta, Indonesia's capital, has become the world's most populous city, according to a UN report, overtaking Japan's Tokyo after jumping from 30th place in the 2018 rankings.
유엔이 올해 발표한 세계 도시화 전망 보고서에서 인도네시아 자카르타가 일본 도쿄를 제치고 세계에서 인구가 가장 많은 도시 1위에 올라 2018년 집계 당시 순위 30위를 훌쩍 넘어선 모습을 보였습니다. Tell us more.
Yeah, so Jakarta, can you believe that? Just 8 years ago or 7 years ago, they were actually the 30th largest city, but now they're the largest. And the second largest isn't even Tokyo anymore. So Tokyo used to be the largest, but now the second largest is Bangladesh's capital, Dhaka, with 36 million. So 9 of the top 10 most populous cities are all in Asia. And yes, Seoul is included in there as well with 22.5 million.
Which obviously includes the Greater Seoul area.
Yes.
Because Seoul itself does not have 22 million people as we know. It's just around 10 million. But if you include the Gyeonggi and Incheon region,
yes.
that's the Greater Seoul area as we call it, then we are looking at around 22 million people in Seoul. 자, 그래요. 지금 2025년 인구 각 도시의 인구를 비교한 유엔 보고서입니다. 지난 2018년에도 똑같은 보고서가 나왔었는데요. 그때에 비해서 순위가 많이 달라졌어요. 그때는 도쿄가 1위였는데 이번엔 도쿄가 3위로 밀려났고 1위는 인도네시아의 자카르타, 2위는 방글라데시의 다카가 되겠습니다. 나머지도 쭉쭉쭉 순위를 말씀드리면은 서울이 10위인데요. 4위부터 10위까지 뉴델리, 샹하이, 광저우, and then oh my gosh, I'm looking, can't read.
Manila?
Cairo라고 괄호 안에 써 있네요. 그다음에 마이라, 그다음에 콜카타, 그리고 서울. 이렇게 10위까지가 되겠습니다. 이 보고서를 제가 지금 보고 있는데 글씨가 작아서 잘 안 보이네요. 오케이. 자, 이렇게 1위부터 10위까지. But they say in 2050 we're going to see a change again, and by that time Dhaka is going to be the most populous city.
That they expect. Yes.
그래요. 그럼 현재 자카르타 인구는 몇 명이냐? 대략적으로 4,200만 명이 되겠습니다. 다카는 한 3,600만 명이 넘고요. 도쿄는 3,300만 명이 조금 넘는 수준입니다. 여기 10위를 기록한 서울은 2,250만 명이라고 했는데 잘 아시다시피 이제 서울이 2천만 명이라고 이러실 거예요. 그래서 아마 이 집계할 때는 그 수도권을 서울이라고 본 것 같아요. 자, 그러면 표현 좀 보겠습니다. These cities are very populous.
Populous, talking about the number of people that live there. So the word that we more commonly hear from populous is population.
Yeah.
Population is the number of people that live in a place. And populous, I guess, would be the adjective version of the word.
그래요. populous라는 거는 인구가 많다라는 뜻입니다. 자, 그 다음에 to overtake.
If you overtake something or someone, then you're passing it.
Yeah.
So you can leapfrog it or to go by. So if maybe you were ranked third, but now you're ranked second, well, you overtook whoever was in second before.
그래요. 추월하다. 자, 다시 읽어볼까요? Jakarta, Indonesia's capital, has become the world's most populous city, according to a UN report, overtaking Japan's Tokyo after jumping from 30th place in the 2018 rankings. Here's our final headline.
Neuroscientists at the University of Cambridge have identified 5 broad phases of brain structure in the average human life, split up by 4 pivotal turning points between birth and death when our brains reconfigure.
영국 케임브리지 대학 신경과학 연구팀은 인간의 뇌 구조가 평균 수명 동안 5개의 주요 단계를 거치며 재구성되고 그에 따라 모두 4번의 중요한 전환점을 그 사이에 겪게 된다는 연구 결과를 발표했습니다. What does this mean?
So they're saying that your brain has different development phases. And when I first heard this, I was kind of thinking, oh, I wonder what the ages would be.
Yeah? Tell us the
And
ages.
it was actually very different than what I expected.
What did you expect, first of all?
I thought they were all going to be younger. Like the phases might be like say 2 and then 8 and then
right.
15 and then like 50 or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the opposite. It changes more when you're older. So the ages that it changes at are 9, 32, 66, and 83.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that too. 인간의 뇌가요, 이 4번의 급격한 변화를 겪는 시기를 거친대요. 근데 그게 언제냐, 평균적으로 봤을 때 9살 때 한 번, 32살 때 한 번, 66살, 그리고 마지막으로 83살, 이렇게 9세, 32세, 66세, 83세, 이렇게 4번의 급격한 변화를 우리 뇌가 겪는다고 합니다. This is really surprising. What sort of changes?
It can be all sorts of things from adolescent phases, and as you age, the topology that they say, kind of how it looks and stuff from the different phases.
Yeah. 그러니까요, 인간의 발달, 성장 이런 것도 있겠지만 그 성숙하는 거, 그다음에 또 노화 이런 게요. 아까 얘기했던 그 4개의 나이, 요 전환점에 크게 변화를 한다고 합니다. 자, 표현 좀 볼게요. Pivotal.
Something that is pivotal is very, very important. So an important moment, you think of like a pivot is when you turn or are able to turn at a certain point.
Yeah.
So a pivotal moment is a moment that's very important where change might happen.
그렇죠. pivot 하는 거 농구 좋아하시는 분들은 또 이제 우리말로 그대로 피벗한다 이렇게 하니까 잘 아실 텐데 이게 뭐냐면은 굉장히 중요한 전환점을 맞이한다라는 뜻이에요. 이게 도는 행동이잖아요. What about to reconfigure?
If you reconfigure, then you're sort of changing the appearance or organization of something. And think of like in Korean, I guess we talk about remodeling, which is like remodeling your house. So like you kind of change how everything is in your house. Maybe your living room, you might change the location of your sofa in relation to the dining table and stuff like that. So that's like remodeling your home, but when you reconfigure, you're kind of moving things around, and it doesn't necessarily have to be just your home. Like you might reconfigure how your office is made up. There's certain mega stores where you shop at that reconfigure where they place things. So when you're buying things, it might be in a different location the next time you go because they've reconfigured it. They've changed it around.
위치를 바꾼다든지 구조를 바꾼다든지 이렇게 크게 바꾸는 것을 reconfiguring이라고 합니다. 자, 그럼 다시 한번 읽어볼게요. Neuroscientists at the University of Cambridge have identified 5 broad phases of brain structure in the average human life, split up by 4 pivotal turning points between birth and death, when our brains reconfigure. Well, that's it for the headlines. 제이슨 선생님과 함께 살펴본 뉴스였습니다.